You began at Dunbar, and you went all the way through to graduate from Langston.
Yes, yes.
Was Dunbar K through 8 or first through 8?
No, it was first through 6.
First through 6.
Yeah, we didn't have kindergarten. I'm learning, that's why I work at Northside, I work with the kindergarten, and I find that everything you need in life, you learn in kindergarten now. We had one of the best bands, and there was like 44, that was including majorettes.
Your class
the
was small.
Well, the largest class that ever graduated was the class before me, and it was 44.
Yeah, I was going to say, to get 250 students, there had to be some disparity there.
Yeah, it was usually 7th and 8th grade was your big classes, because a lot of that time people were still, some people had been in service, came back and went to school.
Okay. In 65, Eula and Bascom together joined the federal lawsuit that forced Johnson City to step up its 12-year school integration program. How many children were in school at that time, Eula? How many kids?
My kids. Margaret,
I wasn't.
Joy.
Okay, Joy was
No.
in school.
No, was she? No.
3 years, yeah, she had to be
Margaret.
right in the 8th grade.
Yeah, because Joy, it was part of the year that.
Wait a minute, I went to kindergarten at Dunbar, but it was integrated at the time. Maybe I was in the first group that was to go when they were doing it a year at a time.
Joy was in the first group. She went to Northside, and they didn't know that she was a transfer kid till she.
Okay, well, kindergarten was at Dunbar regardless, and then I moved over to Northside after that.
But Joy went to kindergarten.
So
at
there were 4. I bet there were 4.
Yeah, but I think that on the lawsuit it was only for Margaret.
Okay.
Because it would say, I remember one of the doctors who was a school board member at the time, he was reading it and he wanted to know who that was that was doing the lawsuit. And he said, okay, and it said, I said, I can tell you who most of them are. Because I said, it said Eula and Bascom Fields for Margaret. It said Elbert and Nanny Fields for Patsy and Linda. And it said B. Wood and for Shirley. And it was a lot of, several cousins. And I can remember him sitting there reading it. I said, I can tell you exactly who it was. Because at the time, I don't think he knew I was black when he would run his mouth. And so, yeah, I'll never forget that. But I don't think the suit was filed for all the kids. It was just the one that you're trying to get. Because I guess maybe the others, you all were already in the European.
Yeah, so we were already a part of the process where.
Right. Margaret wasn't a part of the process. That was the whole.
She would not have been ever.
Yeah, right. That was the way it was because.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eula, do you remember how you got organized? Were there meetings? Was there a club or a church that decided you would do it this way? NAACP?
Don't remember how.
I think it started with the NAACP, and I think that St. Paul AME Zion Church was one of the places because the pastor there kept the kid. He kept his daughter out the whole year. He took her to school every day, and he said she better be counted as being at school every day. He'd go every day, and he'd say, "Have you changed your mind?" And they'd say no. He'd pray and take his child home.
It was more of Daddy who did it, because I remember Mom didn't go down to Greenville or anything. It was just mainly Daddy that got more involved in it. I guess Mom was on with the kids. And working.
And he took you with him?
We went down, Margaret.
Margaret.
He took me down when the day that we had to go to court in Greenville.
By the next year, I mean, they went from that to because at the time they had the elementary school and the university was integrated, and then they just threw the whole thing, and well, it has to be in 64 because end of 64 because end of 65 because that was the last class at Langston.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they didn't have it. They were told after Christmas, so it was probably after Christmas, the kids went back and they told them that this is the last year. And that's what Michael Young said, he had no closure because they had to, you just left.
It was the last year of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
It was after Christmas.
Well,
65.
it was illegal after that, but it still happened. But yeah.
yes, I thought I'd been a good student all my years in school, my 7 years. And then I felt like I was just being kind of put on display in my classes, you know. They just, there was not a lot of black students in the classes. I mean, there were small numbers, and we just would all kind of try. I guess we kind of stuck together with each other because all of us was kind of feeling a little of the, you know, distance between us and the children and the teachers. So that's kind of the way it came about, you know.
And the teachers,
There were some of the teachers that was, you know, that was nice to us, but there were some of the teachers that I think that kind of resented us being there, and they just kind of wanted to, I don't know, I just felt like they wanted to put us on display in class, in the classrooms, you know. Wanted to, I guess, show how, to me it made, I felt like they wanted us to show how dumb we were. That we had, you know, that we were so far behind the children in the white schools. And so we were called upon a lot, and a lot of things we didn't know. And it just, you know, I just think they just made a bad relationship at the time with the students and the teachers. And we had a few, you know, black teachers, I don't remember how many, that came from Langston. They brought them into North Junior High and South Junior High at the time.
So do you remember having Mr.
And probably Science Hill too.
No,
Yes.
none. I don't think any got to go to Science Hill.
Yesterday, Coach
Did it?
Crispin went up.
Oh, well, he was the only one.
Did you have Mr.
Mr.
Peeler
McKinnon.
at North
I had
Junior?
Mr.
So
Peeler.
Mr. Peeler had taught at Langston, and then
Uncle
Uncle,
Doug.
or Charles
he was
Douglas.
our advanced math.
Yes, he was. And then I remember, then Uncle Doug, Charles Douglas, was a teacher at South Junior High, who'd come from Langston.
Were you
Kelly
at
Red,
North
where was
Junior
she?
High? Were you at North Junior
I was at
High?
North.
Okay.
Where was
One year before.
we went to Libertyville? Where was Callie Red? She may have been at the high school. I know she was at high school when she
She
retired.
was at North. She
Okay,
was
what-
English
okay.
teacher.
George, yes.
Margaret, did things improve as the years went by? It was just 4 more years for you.
Yes, things got, you know, got better with the teachers. I guess, you know, that they saw so many of us that they just finally gave in and whatever. I'm for sure there were still some that didn't like the situation, but yes, things got easier, and you got to know the kids, and that made it easier because, you know, you found, you know, you made good friends, and, you know, things went from there. I don't know where I fell in my class. I graduated a year early.
Oh,
I went to summer school, seemed like all my life. It seemed like from about the 8th or 9th grade, and at that time we had to go to summer school. Science Hill didn't have summer school, and we had to go to the university school. So Mom and them had to make arrangements, and I think we had to pay for that, and then she had to make, you know, arrangements with someone to get me there and get me back home, and, you know, every day, because, you know, I wasn't old enough to drive or anything at that time. So I went from about the 8th grade on until I graduated. I went to summer school every summer, even the summer that I graduated, because I remember that, I regret it, but I remember that I did not march with my graduating class because they were going to put me in the back of the line, and not because of my race, but because I was not going to actually finish until the end of that summer. I had to take one more class in summer school. So it was, you know, I always thought that it was going to appear like that, you know, they weren't going to say like that I was graduating early. I thought it was going to appear like that had, you know,
Not required, yeah.
I didn't have the requirements that I needed. So, and that year was the first year that they had the graduation on TV, closed circuit. And I remember I sat home and watched it and cried.
I remember that. I remember watching that. I remember watching you watching that. And then she went to school for engineering, so yes, she's very smart.
With a full ride.
One day I got a phone call, and it was from Dr. Kilgore. Was he a member of the NAACP? That was here in Johnson City, the black dentist here in Johnson City. And he wanted to know if I had any college chemistry. Well, it just so happened in my brief time at Tennessee State, I did take chemistry, and he said that he had been called. He had a call from Nuclear Fuel Services in Irwin that they were looking for a technician, but you had to have a year's college chemistry. So he asked me would I be interested, and at the time, I didn't have a job. I was still looking, so I came back to Johnson City, and I went to Irwin and had my interviews. I had an interview with two guys when I went over there, and then I never heard anything. It was weeks, and so Dr. Kilgore went to the same church that I did, and he was inquiring, had I heard anything from the job, and I said no. So he, proceeded to get on the phone, and he called over there and talked to Roland Bailey, who probably was in Human Resources at the time, and he wanted to know about the job. Had the job been filled? And they said no, and he said, well, if I sent you someone, you said you were looking for some, you wanted a minority. I sent you someone, she had the qualifications, and, what's the deal, And so they kind of gave him the runaround, saying, we just think, we kind of put that on the back burner, we're kind of thinking about it or whatever, So he asked the question, you all do government contracts, don't you? And I guess their reply was yes. And he said, I don't think that you would want me to have you want me to bring the EEOC in for an investigation because you don't have any blacks working here at all. So that's kind of, so it wasn't probably the next week that I got a call to come back in for a second interview, and then I got the job, and I stayed there for 45 years.
And you're on the school board.
Yes, for 13 years.
13 years on the Johnson City School Board.
Which is so ironic to me to think that, didn't know that my parents had sued the school board, back in the day. And
You didn't know when you
I didn't know any of that. And, you're 5 when these things are happening. You don't pay attention, I guess. But it wasn't until Margaret was featured for something for Black History Month at Nuclear Fuel that I learned all that. Yeah. So then in 2016, I started working for the First Tennessee Development District, which is kind of cool because it brought my corporate background, my workforce board background, and Board of Education, kind of like an intersection of the 3 big things in my history, into being able to use those relationships and experiences to further the work I'm doing at the Development District.
And tell us about that work.
So my goal is to help us have the most prepared workforce possible by work with K-12 and post-secondary and business and industry, and work with the university in Milligan, work with ETSU in Milligan on some literacy and birth to pre-K work as well. So really trying to work on 3rd grade reading, which we know is an indicator for success in high school, for really success in life, because it is said that they look at the statistics for 3rd grade reading when they're figuring out the prison population in the future. So really trying to make sure we have more students reading on grade level. So bring all those various partnerships into play as we build out a workforce so that our region is very competitive as we're trying to bring new industry and to retain and grow the industry we have today.
Okay, so when you all get together, it's 19, 25, 26 plates at the table.
Oh no, when we all get together, everybody's got somebody with us.
spouses.
Yeah, I think there's a
thousands.
tribe of 33 of us. We count
Okay.
33 of us as our nuclear.
Is there a favorite family meal?
The actual food,
It's
food we like to eat.
And I think everybody kind of has their own special dishes.
I don't know.
And you just call on that person. Usually,
you know what they're going
what they're going to make. What their favorite is or what they're good at.
And Margaret makes sweet tea that we tell her she should be selling at festivals.
Okay. Speaking of traveling, I know you do girl trips.
Mm-hmm.
What's that favorite one you've done?
I
My favorite was San
should
Francisco.
say mine is too.
That was the very first one we did.
Yes, and we laughed then going, okay, eventually we'll all have suitcases of medicine. I think we're there now.
Yeah. We put our clothes in a Ziploc bag and our medicines in our
Suitcase.
suitcase. Except for Mama.
I thought we'd do the family superlatives.
Okay.
Who's the best cook? You can count you there, and you can vote for them one.
Thelma.
The
Thelma.
best cook.
And she actually had a restaurant for a while, so I guess that qualifies. But she learned it from Mama.
Yeah.
And who's the most creative, most talented? I mean,
I
seamstresses,
skipped our
artists,
generation. Our
musicians.
children are more talented.
No, really, I don't know that we stand out as like being artistic, but we have several that are really good, like designing, decorating their houses. Joy is probably the best
Joy
for that.
has
Say Joey, I think.
Yeah, she's the one you call if you need to know what
And a
color,
color,
to
yeah.
use or what accessory to put in a room. She loves spending other people's money. She's really good at that.
She does good on her own too.
Who's the most fun?
Fun, Evelyn.
Evelyn.
We look for her to be
Evelyn.
entertainment. I send out a throwback picture every Thursday to all the sisters and the nieces and nephews are on a group text that's going all the time. But I do a TBT, and often it's a funny picture of Evelyn to keep us going.
And we usually think it's Mama.
Thelma,
Margaret would
that's
be
good.
considered the most dependable
Yes.
Margaret, the most
because
dependable.
she would, she's going to be the one that makes sure people are taken care of. If you need something, you call Margaret. Even if she won't do for
I was
herself.
going to ask who's the most caring.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a phrase, Sue, that my youngest daughter coined called sagging, same as Grandma. So whenever one of us does something, even their generation, that is like, Grandma would do this. When you use the butter dish for a Tupperware or whatever, we're sagging. Same as Granny.
Yeah. That is right. And Mama will go anywhere to be with her grandchildren. I mean, I know she doesn't feel like it a lot. She said the other day, I went Thursday night to Knoxville for my grandchildren's recital, and she said, I think she thought there wasn't room for them, but I didn't ask her because we were going Friday to High Point
My
for
daughter's
Hannah's
graduation.
graduation, and I didn't want her to have to travel 2 days, and I thought that her feet will swell or something, and I'd have gone, and she can sit in a car from here to California and never get out, and has no arthritis, none. And the rest of us are plagued with it.
She was sitting at a Science Hill ball game recently, wrapped in a blanket, but watching her great-grandson play.
And as Jenny says, she's broken the poverty cycle. She has learned to live on her Charlie Stakery money and put everything in the bank. She's the best financial planner in the world now.
You were still working at Charlie Stakery.
Yes,
How
she-
many days a week?
4.
4 days a
4
week.
half a day. Well, 4 from 11 till 3:30, 4 days a week.
Still driving?
Yes.
Got your own personal parking space at the
I
mall?
have,
Yeah. Pretty soon all her kids are going to be retired, and she's
She's
going
gonna be still working. When I got ready to retire, that's what she asked me. She said, "Are you sure you want to leave?"
I think about, though, something that she modeled that I do with my kids, and I think you all did. We all, as often as possible, we had a meal together, we had our dinner together. Now, it may have been a little, maybe kids were not as, running around doing as many things when we were growing up, but that was still a part of what we did, and that was always something that Eric and I tried to do with our girls. It might be late, but after dance and cheer and all that stuff, but just having that time together.
And Mom and Daddy they supported us no matter what. I
Yeah.
mean, they were there, they went to everything. You may have to walk,
Yeah.
because Mama didn't learn to drive till late, and
And
She's about to say something.
another thing, I told them whenever they got a job to always do their very best on it.
So it's funny, I use a picture of Mama with her birthday balloons, like I guess it started in 93, now up to 95, as the first slide when I do certain kinds of presentations about this is what work ethic looks like and what we're trying to instill in the future generation. And then she said maybe she's going to start charging royalties if I continue to use her pictures. Yeah, so it is interesting to think for Mom and Daddy to have had elementary educations,
yeah.
how many of their children and grandchildren have gotten college degrees. So, as you said, she started a legacy.